right, y'all, you see this big old rock? Castle Rock. See this downtown? That's Castle Rock. Today's video is a virtual tour on Castle Rock, Colorado. Really good spot. Very excited to show you. Check out this mural too. Yeah. All right, y'all, let's go. How's it going, y'all? Jesse Lynch here with the hardest working real estate team in the game. Welcome to Denver. And this YouTube channel is all about helping you find a place to call home here in beautiful Denver or just the Front Range of Colorado. And that's whether you're buying a house for the first time or moving here from a different city, state, country, or planet. Like definitely some of y'all are. First time home buyers, relocations, that's what we do, and that's what we do better than anybody else. So if either of those two things appeal to you, do us both a favor, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to get notified, give the video a thumbs up, and say what's up in the comments. And as always, if you're thinking about moving here, do whatever you can to get a hold of us. Go to our website, welcometodenver.co, or shoot us an email directly to info@welcometodenver.co. They lead to the same spot, and you know, you reach out, we'll get back in touch, and we will absolutely crush it for you, promise. Right back there is Festival Park. Right here is downtown Castle Rock. It's a really, really great little downtown area. You're removed from the metro here, but it's an awesome spot. Beautiful views, cute downtown. It's got a lot going for it. I think you're really gonna enjoy this one. Let's just get into it, shall we? All right. All right, y'all, Castle Rock is a great spot, and I'm gonna just start and just try to hook you by saying it might be one of the best values in all of Colorado and all of the Front Range. You get a lot for your money here, and it's a very nice spot. There's, I would say, overwhelmingly the pros outweigh the cons. We'll get to that later, but yeah, when we're talking price against lifestyle and against amenities, I think it's going to be really hard to beat Castle Rock, and Castle Rock is growing because of that, and growing quite quickly, might I add. The population of Castle Rock is right around 75,000, give or take, and that population has grown by 56% in the last decade. 56%, that's pretty remarkable, and you know, but it makes sense, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why. For one, I want to say geographic location is probably one of the biggest contributors to that rapid expansion of this area. For one, you're basically smack dab, I haven't said that in a long time, you're smack dab between Denver and Colorado Springs. Maybe, let's say ballpark 40 minutes to both. It might even be a little bit less than that, but more or less 40 minutes to both, maybe even, let's say 30 to 40 minutes to both, which for a lot of people is like the holy grail. You know, Denver and Colorado Springs are really the two largest markets in all of Colorado. Boulder probably coming up next. Fort Collins is there as well, but you know, when we're talking to people, when we're helping people move to Colorado, the two primary spots are Denver, or the Denver metropolitan area, or Colorado Springs. And there's a bunch of reasons why, you know, there's a bunch of reasons why that is. Probably the biggest of which is going to be jobs, right? The most jobs in all of Colorado are going to be Denver and Colorado Springs. And so if you can end up right between those two, that sort of provides the most job opportunities to a person, where you could reasonably commute to either spot. And if you're coming from LA, we help a lot of people from California come here, and they're, you know, they're used to, I don't know, hour-and-a-half long commutes. Well, yeah, you definitely don't need to deal with that here, but with a pretty reasonable commute, you can get to either spot. And again, I'm just hammering that home. That convenience is huge. But then it's not just convenience, it's a beautiful spot and almost underrated. Maybe not, as, you know, the population is growing by 50%. Maybe that's showing that it's not exactly underrated, and that people have gotten the memo, and that it is great. But real quick, check out these views. I mean, these views are all over the place in Castle Rock, like all over the place. It's full of pretty epic views. The geography just sort of provides for really sort of expansive views. And I'm higher up in a neighborhood, but it goes even higher up and the views get even more incredible. So if you're looking for, you know, a relatively new home with a view that's not going to be that expensive, I would say Castle Rock should be pretty high up on your list, as long as a 30 to 40 minute drive to the city doesn't totally turn you off. And it's probably pretty obvious that geographically it is located to the south of Denver, basically directly down I-25, 30 to 40 minutes, depending on where you are, I guess, in Castle Rock. But really the exit, if you were to go from downtown Denver to like the first exit of Castle Rock on I-25, yeah, you're probably talking 30 minutes. It's like just right there, so slick. Access is just so easy, just because of how it's right up the highway. You can, way back there, you can see the highway. I can hear the highway just a little bit. Not bad. It's like a faint hum, and really not very intrusive at all. But I would sort of say that Castle Rock is either the absolute cutoff of the Denver metro area, or it's just outside of it. I guess the reason I would say maybe it's outside of it is because public transportation doesn't come here quite as much. You might be able to get a bus, but you certainly can't get a train or anything like that. So it feels like the metro sort of just stops previously to Castle Rock, more like Lone Tree. And then you have Castle Pines, which we also have a video on. We also will have a video on Lone Tree, maybe before this one, not 100% sure. And it's just a little bit disconnected from kind of the greater metro. But it's like, it's very cool. It's once you kind of hit the sort of the crest of Castle Rock, the views start to get just epic, and it really starts to feel kind of mountainy, and I really like that. You know, whereas Denver proper, you're a little more just kind of in the valley. It's you know, starting to get flat right there. I really like that. Castle Rock starts to get very topographically interesting. And now I mentioned the value, so let me dive into that a little bit. The median sale price in Castle Rock is like $525,000, which compared to the greater Denver metro area, that's really good, right? Like Denver metro, $650 median price, so $525 is basically a discount. But then when you combine it with how nice it is here and all these amenities, then you start to like realize that there is like truly quite a good value to be had here. Currently on the market, there's the cheapest single family home is $425,000 and the most expensive is $5.3 million. So if you're looking for that epic home, you can for sure get it here. And there are plenty of views to support that epicness as well. As far as townhomes and condos are concerned, they definitely are some of those here. The cheapest one on the market right now is $360,000. The most expensive is $1.28 million. I would say overwhelmingly though, you're gonna get single family homes here. There are those, but mostly it's gonna be single family home. And 78% of the residents here own their homes, 28% rent. I would say down by sort of like the downtown core, there's going to be a pretty good actually selection of condos, townhomes, and then like apartments. Some of the homes here are going to be available for rent as well, but definitely very much favors the owner side, owner occupant side of things here, which, you know, lends to certain characteristics that some people are looking for in a place to call home. And then again, back on the value thing, right? So relatively affordable homes, $525,000 median home price. That's pretty rocking. Then amazing views, beautiful outdoor spaces. I'll be in some of that more later, but the outdoor space here is real. It's something like 27% of all of the land mass of Castle Rock is dedicated to like outdoor spaces, right? That people can enjoy. And I mean, 27%, that's huge, especially because Castle Rock has a pretty sizable footprint and 75,000 people live here in good yards, like all over the place. We'll get to that. So back to the value. What else, what am I always looking for? Schools, right? Schools are important to a lot of people that we help. And even if they're not, they're still important to home values, right? And the schools here in Castle Rock are pretty good. They're not top 5, right? But they're definitely very good. You're mostly served by Douglas County School District, which is a very good school district. And the schools here get a B+. The schools in that school district, in the Douglas County School District, get an A-. So maybe they're not quite up to par with the rest of Douglas County, but like Lone Tree is in the Douglas County School District, and those are very highly rated schools. It's close to the average, but a B+ is kind of where the schools are sitting here in Castle Rock. It's voted number 4th best school district for athletes in all of Colorado and 17th best school district overall in Colorado. For high schools, Castle View High School gets a B+, Douglas County High School gets a B+, and Ponderosa High School gets a B+. And then for middle schools and elementary schools, there are schools basically ranging from an A to a B+. Seems like everything is like a B+ or higher. So schools are rocking, homes are pretty cheap, views are amazing, outdoor space is amazing. What else is there, you know? All right, let's go for a drive. All right, y'all, Philip S. Miller Park. I'm up at the top, and yeah, I came here just for you, just to show you kind of the views, the vistas that you can find in Castle Rock and the park spaces. Because again, I said this earlier, the park spaces, 27% of all of Castle Rock is like designated outdoor space. But we're talking pros and cons specifically. That's maybe a little bit of foreshadowing, because we're talking pros and cons of living here in Castle Rock, Colorado. Number 1 pro for me is the value. The home prices here are affordable. Like compared to the rest of Denver and the Denver metropolitan area, they are very good. $525,000 median sale price compared to $650,000 median for the rest of Denver. And that number actually has gone up since I last checked, but I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's ballpark, $650,000. So considerably more affordable than like the average of Denver. And not only that, sometimes those numbers are a little goofy because you're like, oh, it's affordable, but then you find like, well, the houses are tiny, right? Or they're dumpy or they're old or something. That's not the case here. The houses are generally quite new and quite nice and quite large. They have big yards. Things are a little more spread out than a lot of the other suburbs here. It's just generally very substantial for what you get for the money. So really good value for your money. And then we'll talk about other reasons why it's value. And then I suppose all of these other pros are going to sort of add to that value. But number one, value or affordable homes, right? Second is going to be this, great outdoor spaces. And there's a diversity in the outdoor spaces. So this park, Philip S. Miller Park, there's great trails. Obviously, like I'm walking a trail that goes very, very far that way. There are basically like a zip line, an amphitheater, and then like soccer fields and a municipal park, like a proper municipal park down there. And then, you know, you can also take this, you know, hike up here, get beautiful views, which actually, that's the next pro, beautiful views. Not even in the park spaces. So many houses here have really, really great views. And it's almost how the neighborhoods are designed. You know, it's like they're sort of designed in a stair step way. So the house, you have a house here and then a house that's taller than that, but it's behind it, right? And obviously that's kind of how mountains work, but sorry, I don't think you don't realize how mountains work, but it's like even just the sort of suburban neighborhoods have these like very compelling views. Right now I can see, you know, I'm in the foothills basically, but then I can see snow-capped mountains of the Front Range off in the distance. It's so cool. I can see Castle Rock itself. What's not to love about that? Personally, love a good view. Castle Rock has a lot of them. Next pro is that the schools here are good. They're not top 5, they're not the best in the world, but they are good, B+ average rating, and you have access to some schools that are better than that. And I suspect with the rate it's growing, it's just gonna get better and better. The schools here, you know, all the high schools here basically are B+. I would not be shocked if within the decade, those are sitting at A+ just because of the influx of people. And maybe that's part of why they're rated a little bit lower right now, is because so many people have moved here. Again, I think I said earlier, like 54% increase or something like that in the last 10 years. So yeah, maybe the school system here has had a little bit of a hard time keeping up with that, but I think it's, you know, in no time, the school system will catch up, and then the schools here will really start to excel. Don't quote me on it, but you can kind of quote me on it. Next pro is just all about the convenience, right? So number one, convenience to Denver and to Colorado Springs. Super, super slick access to the highway. The highway is actually just right behind us. I can see it. I'm far enough away though that it is the quietest little hum. It almost just sounds like an ambiance and not as much like traffic noise at all. But pretty much all of Castle Rock is basically very, very accessible to the highway. I think this park is only 3 to 5 minutes from the highway, so you can hop on I-25 and bop right up to Denver or right down to Colorado Springs. And so much of Castle Rock is built along the highway, obviously for convenience and all that. And because of that, even though it's, you know, somewhat far away geographically, if you just look on a map, Castle Rock looks like it's pretty far, but it's actually more convenient than a lot of other places to downtown Denver or to Colorado Springs, because you're right on I-25, which goes straight to Denver, straight to Colorado Springs. So let's say Centennial, right? My girlfriend's sister lives in like Eastern Centennial. That is further from downtown Denver than where I stand right now. or almost equal distance, even though if you look on a map, it looks like it's considerably further away. I guess in miles it is, but in time, in actual commute, it's not, because you're just on the highway, you're going 75, drive responsibly, and yeah, you're there in no time. So that convenience, to me, that's one of the best parts about Castle Rock, especially when you sort of combine it with the affordability. As far as cons are concerned, I guess number one con is just going to be that there's like not jobs here, right? Nobody's working, well, some people are working here, but overwhelmingly the jobs aren't here. So kind of no matter what, you're going to have to commute or telecommute like so much of the world is doing. So that might not even be an issue. But yeah, you're not going to be able to really find like a big employer in Castle Rock that easily. Not to say it's impossible, but it's probably not that likely. But again, you're close to both Denver and Colorado Springs, which is where so many of the biggest employers in Colorado are going to be. So I don't know, maybe that's not a con. Maybe that actually is a pro. There's not a whole lot of industry here, so it's chill, right? It's more neighborhoody, and that's a good thing for a lot of people. Second con, and I know I just said this was a good thing, but for some people, a 30 to 40 minute commute is just too much, right? So if you know you're gonna work in Denver and you don't want a 40-minute commute or potentially more on like a bad weather day or a bad traffic day, then yeah, it's gonna be kind of far. So if you're making that commute daily, this might feel a little bit long to you. If you're from LA, it might be an absolute cakewalk. And at which point, for not that much money, you can afford a beautiful house in a beautiful area. So the commute, maybe it's too long for you, but maybe not. Next con for me is, I guess, tied to that commute issue, which is that there's fundamentally very little public transportation here. So maybe you're gonna be able to hop on a bus, like an express bus. I think they have some of those here, but you're not gonna be able to hop on a train, and you're gonna definitely be relatively reliant on a car. Even to get to public transportation, you're gonna have to drive your car to that lot, right? So definitely very car heavy here, and you know, you won't be able to get the train. The train is quite a ways north of here is the last stop. So yeah, I would say if you're looking for that sort of like a light rail commute, this probably is not gonna be the spot. And then last con, I don't know, I guess just that it is growing really fast. It's maybe getting a little too big for its britches, if you know what I mean. Like, so, you know, the infrastructure is all very new, so that's very nice. But can the infrastructure handle the influx of people? You know, yeah, but how long will that last? Will it be able to keep up with it? I don't know. That's a little bit hard to say. I would think so, but then even that being said, there's tons of conveniences here. You also have, you know, tons of stores, which, sorry, back to a pro. On the convenience factor, it's a very like sort of complete sort of suburban amenity center down there, right? Down right off the highway. There's tons of, you know, restaurants. It's gonna be largely chain. And there's tons of, you know, grocery stores and Whole Foods and that kind of stuff down there. There's also an outlet mall in Castle Rock, and it's just fairly, you know, you got quite a few amenities as far as that's concerned. But do you have everything? No, not really. When I think about like the most complete suburbs, like Lone Tree comes to mind, Centennial comes to mind, where it's like, yeah, it literally has all of the stores that have ever existed ever. But is that a bad thing? I don't know. For me, it's not really. I would take these views. I would take the sort of quaintness of the downtown, and I would take the I don't know, chillness of this area over a more complete suburb. But I also don't mind to drive, so weigh that as you will. Another pro, I'm gonna go back to it, is that quaint downtown. It's so cute, and it does have like unique restaurants, unique shops, and that kind of stuff, all in the sort of old school downtown. And that sort of quaintness is just sort of the cherry on top of the whole thing. And for me, that quaintness is just the cherry on top of the whole deal. I think that's all I can think of for pros and cons of Castle Rock. So let's go for a drive. Have y'all ever seen a TJ Maxx with a view like this? What on earth? I could have said any store, in fairness. There's also a Starbucks, a Sleep Number bed, a Verizon store, a smoothie place, a Pilates place, a Whole Foods, a Maurice's, a Petco, and Alta Sierra. But this is just one of many little sort of commercial pockets within Castle Rock. And it's all pretty much entirely along I-25. I don't know if you can see right there, I-25. Just kind of humming in the background, and as you can see, I'm standing right now. This isn't even fully developed yet. I'm sure this will continue to be, you know, more and more of these suburban staples. There's a Sam's Club down there. There's a Lowe's, the outlet mall, and all that. It really is, it's got a lot going for it, and I think it's only gonna continue to be more and more developed as time goes on. And if you've been watching these videos for a long time, cool, thank you for being here. And if this is new to you, then, you know, we do this little section called For Fans Of, which is to say, if you like what you see here, but maybe you want some more options, maybe it isn't the perfect fit, what are some other spots that you might want to consider? And for me, the first place that comes to mind as being sort of similar geographically and a little bit in terms of vibe is going to be Lone Tree. Although Lone Tree is closer to Denver, so that means a little bit further away from Colorado Springs, and more complete. It has everything, right? And it's a little more of a standard suburb, but it is great. It's really good. The schools there are better than the schools here. So schools are a priority. Maybe consider Lone Tree. You're a little closer in. It's going to be more expensive. I think median there is just over 700. So again, more expensive, a little more affordable. Schools are better in Lone Tree. Schools aren't as good here, but still good. Yeah, you get it? So that's Lone Tree. The next up in, this is a stretch, but bear with me, is Evergreen. Evergreen is a beautiful mountain town, and if you're looking for views, right, and relative convenience to like downtown Denver, then Evergreen is a really great option for you. It's like a proper mountain town, adorable little downtown, but further away, a little bit more removed, and you know, just a little harder to navigate because it's so much of a mountain town. Less convenient to Colorado Springs, all sorts of stuff, but still great schools, beautiful views, epic houses. Yeah, check out that virtual tour if you have not yet. Next up on the list is Longmont. Longmont, we will have a virtual tour on very soon. That's kind of, I think I'm shooting that tomorrow, if I can, if I have time. And Longmont is like, to me, it's almost like the northern ends version of Castle Rock, right? So Longmont is to Fort Collins what Castle Rock is to Colorado Springs, if that makes sense. Although Longmont is closer to Fort Collins than Castle Rock is to Colorado Springs, but nonetheless, it is sort of the spot between Denver and Fort Collins in the way that this is the spot between Denver and Colorado Springs. That makes sense. It has a lot of really good stuff going for it as well. Check out that virtual tour as well as a potential option. And then last but not least, I'm gonna say Castle Pines. We do have a virtual tour of Castle Pines. Castle Pines is great, has some of the best schools in all of Colorado. It's definitely more expensive than here and more like bougie. That's probably the word I should say. But tons of great outdoor spaces, beautiful homes, a little more homogeneous. That's probably my least favorite thing about Castle Pines, is that the houses all kind of blend together. Even like the epic sort of mansion styles, they very much look the same way. And I don't know, I like a little bit of variety. Even though they're builder grade homes here, I'm looking at some townhomes, it's like, well, these townhomes are different than some townhomes over there. Whereas I feel like Castle Pines, it's pretty consistent. Also, real quick, this is just a Sleep Number store. It's got a view like this. You've already seen it. Here's a Sleep Number store. There should be like a Sleep Number headquarters with a view like that, but I don't know. kind of cool that it's a store. But whatever it is, wherever you're thinking about moving to, maybe you love what you see here in Castle Rock and you're like, boom, that's it. I like that value. I don't mind being far away. Cool. Maybe it's not quite there. Maybe, you know, maybe you don't care. Maybe you're all over the map and you just need some reining in. That's where we come in, and we would love to, you know, walk you through that and talk you through ending up in exactly the home that you want to end up in. So we implore you to just get a hold of us however you can. You can go to our website, welcometodenver.co. We have a contact form there. You can fill it out. It's a piece of cake. We'll get back to you, and then we'll set up a Zoom call and get things going, or just shoot us an email directly to info@welcometodenver.co. And again, we'll absolutely crush it for you. We'll absolutely take the best care of you. I feel like I'm gonna twist my ankle, and this is a weird spot to do it because it should be like actually when I was hiking earlier and not in some landscaping outside of a Sleep Number bed. But anyways, we will absolutely crush it for you. This is what we do, and this is what we do better than anybody else. So get a hold of us however you can. And if you're not prepared to reach out, just go ahead and follow us on Instagram at welcometodenver.co and just hang out with us for a while. And as always, as you exit the video, do so safely. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell to get notified, give the video a thumbs up, and say what's up in the comments. We'd appreciate that very, very much. And we did it. This has been Castle Rock Virtual Tour. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.